So I actually special order with my local grocery store 7 gallons every Tuesday. That way I don't have to find it. I just take it with me. Sometimes it's not cold when I drink it.
How long is it sitting?
A day?
Yeah.
Sometimes 2. Yeah. I'm going to go and win the World Strength Games in 2 years, go to pro wrestling school, and I'm going to go to the WWE, and we're going to go all in.
Time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. Bruss Hamilton, the Gentleman Barbarian, where I want to jump off with you is the gallon of milk a day. I have another jump off point here, which we're going to get to.
Okay.
But he came back and said, hey, did you know about this gallon of milk a day thing? GOMAD, right? And I know all about it. So you live it.
Yeah.
So first, like how... I tried this once. I got a couple stories with this. I tried it once because everybody I was training with at the time was doing it, and they were all putting on weight. I'm like, well, shit, I need to do that. I got through one day because I figured I got to test this. So I'm just going to buy 1 gallon. And so I go back the second day, and while I'm in the store, I blow up the bathroom.
Yes.
Just absolutely just blow it up. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to like rationalize, will I get used to this or will I not? And I'm like, screw it. I'm just not going to do it. And then kind of axed it from that point. Many years later, somebody asked me a question because Mark Ripito is a big proponent of this. And I decided to answer the question as I was driving through McDonald's. And when I'm driving through there, I'm like, I wonder if they have milk. It would be funny if I ordered the milk, right? Mm-hmm. While I'm answering this question. And they have the containers of milk, and it's like 4 ounces or something like that. So I told the microphone, I want a gallon, right? And just like dead silence because now the math has to start clicking, right? And I'm thinking, do you know there's 128 ounces in a gallon? It's like, how many is this? Yeah. She's super polite. It's a funnier than hell video. It was like 30 containers.
Yes.
They cost me like $35 for the whole meal afterwards. And then I can't even drink it, but it made for a great video.
Sure.
Whereas, when did you start doing this?
So you actually had my strength coach on here, John Mauser. Mm-hmm. So he's the guy who trained me. He's the one who put me onto it. You know, when
doesn't surprise me.
This is, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I'm sitting at around 246 pounds and I'm competing in super heavyweight strongman anyway, because that's what I wanted to do. And I said, what do I need to do to put on weight? And he was like, drink a gallon of milk. And then of course, like you said, like everybody does, oh no, I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. That's way too much. And eventually I give in, I buy the gallon of milk. And like you, I blew up any bathroom that I could be near.
Did you get used to it? Obviously,
took about a week.
Took
about a week. And that was with just like regular, I was doing chocolate milk at the time. Whole chocolate milk is what I would be drinking to try and get my carb increase and everything. Now trying to stay leaner, I do the 2%. And, you know, obviously that's a lot of money buying a gallon of milk every day. So I was buying the cheapest milk I could find. Eventually my budget increased, which is why I can afford this Dairy Gold Fit milk, you know, which is lactose free. And magically all the bathroom problems went away with lactose free. So I'm never going back because this milk too is 14 grams of protein per serving. There's 7 servings in there. That's 98 grams of protein sitting on the table right there. Mm-hmm. And so I get just about 200 grams of protein a day just from the liquids I'm drinking, you know. And my minimum that I like to take in a day is 300. Yeah. I'm almost done just with milk. So I can, like, if I have a travel day when I'm on the road wrestling or something like that, it's like, okay, I only need a triple baconator and that'll get me to my protein for the day. Yeah. You know, and so it really, really helps me.
Now I'm wondering if I left gains on the table because I just needed to go through it for 4 more days.
Yeah. Milk has changed my life.
So what do you do when you're traveling and you can't find it? I mean, you can always find milk. I get that.
So I actually special order with my local grocery store 7 gallons every Tuesday. And that way I don't have to find it. I just take it with me. And this is where you got to toughen up thing happens. Sometimes it's not cold when I drink it.
How long is it sitting?
A day,
Yeah.
sometimes 2.
Yeah.
It just depends. And I'll get a cooler. I'll do everything that I can to keep it as cold as possible. But I've never drank hot milk, but I have drank temperature of the day milk. Not maybe not of the day. That would be hot milk, but like it's just warm. And
if you wait long enough, it's cottage cheese, right?
Oh yeah, I've never gotten to that point. But my argument to this is like when you're really trying to chase those weight gain goals and you're trying to chase that strength and get the body and whatever it is you're looking for, just that physique goal. I was drinking chicken. Everyone's tried that before. I used to drink chicken. And so if I'm willing to drink a warm glass of liquid chicken, I think I can deal with some milk in a car.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I came from with that.
When I was growing up training, I couldn't afford the protein powder, so I would mix powdered milk in milk, right? Because that was kind of like the protein powder. Then I went through several years of not drinking any milk, and that's when this intolerance thing kind of came in there with the whole thing. Where I was going to jump off on this is because I kind of want to go through your timeline a little bit.
Sure.
Is your first job was at the Waffle House, right? So now I'm taking the milk with the Waffle House.
Yeah.
And so how old were you at that point?
Well, I was 16.
You're 16.
Yeah, 16 years old at the Waffle. I was Blue Water Bay, Florida. It's right across the bridge from Destin. It's kind of gotten annexed into Niceville. So like you say, you're from Niceville, Florida, but the actual area I lived in was Blue Water Bay, Florida, that Waffle House.
Yeah. Now, when did you get involved in sports? I'm always curious about this. Because you were a band geek.
So middle school, I did play football, but when I went into high school, let's full disclosure. I have never been an athlete. I've never been good at sports. I would say the only thing that was different was that when I played middle school football is that even though I was like 130 pounds, I got separated to weightlift with the linemen. I've always been strong for my size. That was the only thing. But when you're being led by guys who peaked in high school, right? Like coaches and things like that, they don't know the strength world like you would or I know now. I was kind of looked at as kind of like, well, we'll just put him over the lineman. He's lifting kind of the same numbers and we'll just leave him there. But they didn't know how to utilize me and I didn't know how to utilize me. So my whole life, I just thought I was this weak, slow runt.
So before 14, was there like farm work was there anything to lay any base foundation at all? So your coordinational skills sucked.
Not athlete. I was a drama kid, band geek. When I was in that 16, even from 12 years old and on up, full disclosure, I was into drugs, alcohol. I wasn't the ideal person, and I didn't live the athlete lifestyle. I read all the magazines. I was still like, I had this obsession with like muscle and fitness and all these bodybuilders, and like Jay Cutler was my idol and all these things. But I didn't live it. I didn't think I could live it. I had a lot of people, family, friends, everybody my entire life kind of tell me that that's not in the cards for me. It's just not genetically there. Or like, you're a disappointment. You're not accomplishing the things you're supposed to accomplish. You'll never be able to achieve what these guys are achieving. And I kind of let that settle in because, at the time they were right. I was making all the wrong choices. I didn't pursue anything. And honestly, if something required effort, I would quit. I didn't want to have to try. I did not have the right mentality as a kid. So when it comes to like weightlifting and athletics, and when I really kind of discovered like that, this might be something here, it wasn't until after I enlisted. I was in the Marine Corps. I was 19, 20 years old.
Why'd you decide that? The Marines.
To enlist?
Yeah.
So I was a high school dropout. I was on and off again with this girl, and I ended up knocking her up. And so here I am, a high school dropout. I just got arrested for petty theft, stealing DVDs from the local Kmart. And I'm like, oh my God, and I've got this baby on the way. What am I going to do? And so with the help of my mother, I worked 2 jobs and I went back to high school. And I got basically I had a year and a half worth of work to do. And I went to this local vocational school in Fort Walton Beach called Choices. And they had basically high school on the computer. And you had a bunch of kids go to this school and one teacher roaming around making sure everyone stayed on task. And I got a year and a half's worth of work done in one semester. And basically the March of the following year, I was off. to enlist, because I just kind of, even though I say, I wasn't making the right choices and I didn't have the maturity, there was just something about a baby being on the way that kind of made me go. And it took a while still, because he was born, that I needed to turn my life around. And, when you've got the Marine Corps commercials telling you if you want to become something more, you become a United States Marine. That's where I went.
During that time period where you put in like a year and a half worth of work in 3 months, was there a little part of you that thought, maybe I can do more?
No.
Really?
Oh, and only because I was so oblivious. I was just, I didn't think about it that way until I got to look back at it, not realizing like I can talk about it now, like, oh my God, I had 2 jobs and high school at the same time. That was a lot. In the moment, I was so locked in on, I have a son, I need to become more. This is what it takes to become more, so this is what I'm going to do. I never looked at it as I'm doing so much more than others. It was more like, I'm just doing what's required. So
why the Marines?
Again, I bought into the commercial. I bought into the image. I wanted to be more. I wanted to fight the lava monster, Yeah. Yeah.
So you re-enlisted, right?
I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps, yeah.
Yes. So during that time period, is that, because going into the Strongman, there's discipline, there's all kinds of things that you need, to be able to move forward. Did you pick that up through the Marines?
Yeah, I think that it was always there, but I didn't have the guidance and mentoring to bring it out in my youth. So when the Marine Corps kind of smacks you in the mouth, day one, standing on the yellow footprints and getting surrounded by good examples of what it is to be disciplined and what it is to have that kind of drive, definitely made it come all the way out of me. 100%. Got to give credit to Marine Corps on that.
So why'd you re-enlist after the first, was it 4 years or 5?
It was 4 years.
Yeah.
I was married to my first wife. We had kids, and I just didn't have anything else going on. I honestly thought that the Marine Corps was going to be my future forever.
Okay.
And so I was like, yeah, I'm just going to re-enlist. This is something I'm capable of. I did a lot of growing in that first 4 years. If I could find any of my old chain of command, they would tell you that the Lance Corporal Hillen they got was that's my real name there. Yeah, I edited that one out, right? The young Marine they got was much different than the Marine that left. I did a lot of growing in that first enlistment, and so I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to take on more responsibility, do more, grow more. I'm going to re-enlist and stay in.
When you say growing, how so? Just maturity, discipline?
Yeah, absolute maturity. When I this is something, so like I have a 17-year-old son, and so he's getting to the point now where I can be a little bit more open and honest about my weaknesses and what I deem are failures. And one of them is that it took me until my 30s to really have that consistent discipline, to really stop making excuses and just put in the work no matter what. And he's someone that I've been trying to teach that to hopefully get him ahead of the curve from me, because we're so similar. And I knew it then. It's like, I don't understand why my brain works this way, but it does. It's like, I'm self-aware, but incapable of change. And I knew if I re-enlisted, it would force me to change. I wouldn't have a choice. And so
then if we move forward, why didn't you not stay in?
That's where a big problem with me comes, is I become comfortable. So I had the growth. I became a sergeant in the Marine Corps. I felt like I was a decent example. I lateral moved into EOD, changing my MOS into that job, which was a dream come true for me. And then my wife left. And so we had a fallout in the marriage. And so, and she took the 2 kids that I had with her, and she left behind my firstborn son, who I had gotten from the original girl I was with. And I had to get out of EOD. I got pushed out because I couldn't handle my personal life at that moment. It completely collapsed, and go back to my old MOS. And I've got this weird sense of justice, especially when it comes to hypocrisy. I don't like double standards. I hate them. And so I don't like, like, so I had a master gunnery sergeant. I'm not going to name any names here, but I had a master gunnery sergeant that got put on the BCP program, which is the body composition program. He was too fat. He was upset that he got put on the BCP program. So he said, all overweight Marines in my unit are going to be on it with me, even if you're within standard. So he couldn't force us to be in BCP. So what he did was he designed his own BCP program that we would have to leave our workshop during our workday and go train. Because I don't know if he was embarrassed. I don't know if he was angry. I'm not sure what the reason was. But he decided, because he had to do it because he was out of shape, that any of us that were still within the Marine Corps standard, so my max weight at my height was 181. I was 236 pounds. I'm not getting to under 181.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't exactly the world's fattest guy. So it would have been really difficult for me to do that. Even though I made tape where they tape your neck and your waist and they run the algorithm, he was just like, nope, you're fat, you're overweight, you're doing this because I have to do it.
Were you already training at the time, like strength training at all, or just?
I mean, I was in the gym, but I was lifting. I didn't know what training was until much later. That's what I tell people. Yeah. I was going to a gym and moving things for sure.
Well, I'm asking because, you know, him making you do that doesn't exactly make training look like a favorable thing.
No, exactly.
Right?
This
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, this is an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
Or I should say problem. It's an ongoing outlook within the military is basically like, sure, if we were in like a firefight or something like that, like I'm the guy that's going to be able to pick up 2 people and run, but my 3-mile time is slow. So I guess I'm not in shape. Mm-hmm. You know, it's one of those concepts within the Marine Corps, which that's a tomato thing. You know, the Marine Corps is still, in my opinion, the greatest standard of all militaries on the planet. So I don't want to talk bad about it.
Yeah.
That command I was in, however, it ruined the Marine Corps for me.
All right. So you had things that are pushing you out, but you also had your life kind of falling apart that needed.
Yeah. And I needed to redirect it. And during all of this, I also had a second job as a bouncer and eventually became the bar manager. And so I'm juggling all of these things. I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm hating every day in the Marine Corps now. And I kind of got a little bit too hard on the bottle because I'm in the bar every weekend and everything running that. I still have my son. I moved out of my house. I had to live in a camper. It was just like I was floating. I was barely head above water in this situation, just trying to make it happen. And then I met my current wife. And she didn't really want to be married to a military man. I didn't really want to be in anymore. So it kind of became, it just fit. I'm going to get out, and together we're going to figure out what our future is.
So when I assume you stayed in the bar bouncing. So after, I mean, what did you do after you got out? Because now you're a civilian.
When I got out of the Marine Corps, we moved to Indiana. I was stationed in South Carolina. We moved to Indiana immediately. I went to train in Tehachapi, California, to climb wind turbines and cellular towers and be a mechanic for that, because I went, we're going to the Midwest. Those things are everywhere. Mm-hmm. Not as everywhere as we thought. And so those were all travel jobs. Well, one of the reasons that she didn't want me to stay in the Marine Corps was she wanted me home. And so we're in the very beginnings of a relationship, you know, and we moved very quickly because we were both single parents and we knew what we wanted. And we were like, okay, this is either going to work or it's not. So we're diving in. And so I ended up not getting that job, and I became a factory maintenance worker. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I bounced around a lot. I did factory maintenance work. I went to a company called Pike Lumber, and I was a maintenance worker there. And this was actually a really difficult transition, because even though like I didn't feel like I had the perfect personality for the Marine Corps, boy, I did not understand civilian life at all. And so I'm bouncing around job to job to job, trying to figure out, where I fit in. And it wasn't working. And my wife and I actually took a summer off. We had enough money to pay all our bills for a summer. So we did that. And during the summer, we talked about our future and what I was going to do. And so what I ended up doing was going to college and using my GI Bill and using the stipend you get from that as like kind of like my money while I, you know, mm-hmm. I don't want to say I was going through a mental health crisis, but like I had you know what I mean? I had nowhere to go. I didn't know what to do. And like, I'm an adult. I'm supposed to be an adult. I have 6 children, or not 6 at the time. This was before the other 2 were born, but
4.
Yeah. And so I need to get my life together, need to get my act together. And lucky enough, I had her, like, she could sustain everything while I kind of figured that out. And my money got used on the littler bills while she took care of the main stuff, so I could get my feet underneath me.
Yeah. So how did you eventually figure out what you were going to go to school for?
Staying hydrated is huge for training and performance. And this is why today's episode is brought to you by Element. Element gives you exactly what your body needs: 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, 0 sugar, and no junk. Personally, I like to mix half a pack with my morning oatmeal. I'll use any of the chocolate flavors. I drink it with all my training sessions, watermelon being my favorite. Some other reasons why I use it is stable energy with no crash. It fights off fatigue and cramps, improves mental focus and clarity, helps regulate stress, and supports deeper sleep. And there's no sugar and garbage. Here's the best part. You can try it totally risk-free. Right now, Element is offering a free 8-count sample pack of its most popular flavors. With each purchase, you get 2 of each of these 4 fan favorites, perfect for finding your own favorite or sharing with a friend. Don't like it? Give it to a salty friend, and Element will give you your money back. Head over to www.drinklmnt.com/table talk.
Well, I went to nursing school,
because
she's a nurse, or she's a nurse practitioner now, but at the time she was a nurse. And during me trying to figure out how to find a job, and going everywhere I could, she didn't. She could have called any facility anywhere, said, "Hey, I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 10 years. Do you need me?" Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Everywhere needs her. She would never, ever have to beg for work, never have to try. I don't even think she did an actual interview. She would just say, "Here, fill this out. You're hired. Come in on Monday." You know, like, they needed nurses that bad. And so I was like, well, I'm going to go to nursing school. And I went to University of St. Francis in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I'm doing it. And we had a baby while I was going to school, and I was doing the homestead, right? So I have 9 acres as house. I have the kids, and because I wasn't working, I told her I was like, basically, I refused to not take on the household stuff. I was like, yes, I needed to be all in on school, but you're the one who's going to work, so I'm going to cook, I'm going to clean. No kids go to daycare; they stay home with me. I'm going to be this is how I'm going to alleviate financial stress. And it kind of became a little bit too much for me to juggle. And I ended up actually leaving college after 2 years because the grades were I projected myself and was like, I don't think I'm going to pass. And if you don't pass, you pay the money back. And so it's like, well, I'm just going to get out while I'm ahead.
Well, what if you get out? Do you have to pay it back?
No, I didn't have to pay. I didn't have to pay it back. It was kind of like well, it was at a certain point in the semester where the school would send the money back.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have to come from me. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to pull the cord now. And literally it's like God in action, right? It's like literally at the exact same time I got a job opportunity with a company called Seven Sons. They're a regenerative agriculture meat business where they grass finish cows and they grass raise pigs, and they needed a livestock manager. And I had never done it in my life, but I showed up anyway and was like,
how's that work?
Well, I mean, look, every story, every tale I tell you, I'm kind of leaving out some details here, but the premise of all of it is that I'm not really afraid to try anything.
Yeah.
Is that I wanted to get into agriculture on my homestead. And I said, well, I need to learn how. Well, here's essentially, I don't want to call them a startup company, but they weren't so huge yet. Now they're enormous. But I went and worked for them and I wanted to learn, and it was kind of like a tit for tat. I take a smaller salary, I get the on the job training. And so that's what we did. They ended up hiring me. I impressed them enough in the interview. And I worked hard for them. They had like at some point, and you're on foot or you have like one vehicle, you've got at one point you have 500 head of cattle and over 900 pigs that I have to manage by myself, and you're rotating them daily. And, that's what regenerative agriculture is. And we could save that for a whole other podcast. I could talk about that all day because it's a big passion of mine. But I ran that for them and kind of fell in love with it immediately. Then COVID happens. Now, COVID in the beef business, in the meat business, it actually skyrocketed production for them. So it made everything kind of come on really quick, really, really fast, really hard. This is, again, I'm beginning to go, I'm in deeper waters than I intended to be. My learning pace isn't as slow as I hoped it would be. I had broken some things like, machines and stuff, improper usage, and it wasn't trending southward. Like, I could call them today and they would talk to me. We have a good relationship. But then I was getting my kids back from my ex-wife again. And then here we are in another summer. And I was like, COVID's happening. We were looking at daycare costs. Was there even going to be daycare? Now I have 5 children and there's no daycare. And if I wanted to pay for somebody to do it, it was going to be more than my entire salary. And so I had to step down, and I went back home, raised the kids. Wife stayed at work. Again, we had the money to do it, and all of this is like, you talk about growth, all of these lessons, all of these curves. I've had so many turns, and I'm training strongman during all of this.
Yeah, I was going to say, when did that come in?
Yeah, that's been in.
When did that start?
I would say I got out of the Marine Corps in 2017. My wife, there was a local contest, Jim Beebe in Indianapolis. He doesn't do strongman anymore, but he did.
So this was after you've moved from Florida.
I'm in India.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And my wife, I was looking at a contest over and over and over and over again, and I just kept backing out. My wife was like,
why? I mean, because your background, you don't like fitness. You never had any strength and conditioning as a child. You hated it when you were in the Marines, and you're like, hey, I think this is cool.
Yeah, I liked being strong, but then
you didn't know, you weren't.
I thought I was, you know what I mean?
Well,
but then that going to a contest would have been the real test. So I could stay at home, I could stay comfortable, and I could pretend to be strong. I was comfortable. I was happy. I was stronger than everyone around me. So I was okay just from weightlifting. I live in the middle of nowhere, small town, nothing. Yeah. There's no one built like me where I live.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this contest because why? It's a real test of strength against people that are strong.
Okay, so why most people are going to drift into like bodybuilding because that's the easiest access point, right? So why the strongman instead of the easier access points, which would be bodybuilding, and in the Midwest, powerlifting's super popular too.
So bodybuilding for me was kind of the start when I enlisted. Like I said, Jay Cutler was my idol. I wanted to look just like him. Loved the way he looked. And then I realized the diet part.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Yeah, that is literally it. I don't want to have to not eat or eat bland food. I love cooking. And so I don't want to eat like that. I want to be able to enjoy my meals. So having a little bit of fat is kind of nice. I knew that I didn't want to be stage ready bodybuilding. I liked off-season bodybuilding work. So then of course, powerlifting was the next transition. And I don't want to get any hate for this, but I don't want to be in a sport where I lock out a deadlift, and if my foot moves, then it doesn't count anymore. I don't like that. For me, it's like, I'm more of like did it go up? Did he get it? All right, that's a good lift. And so, again, this is where ego kind of comes in. Well, I don't want to put up with that,
Well, not really, because there's a lot of lifters out there that are in the strongman that they tried the powerlifting, but in their words, it's just boring. It's just,
I don't know if it's boring because I think, God, I think it's impressive what these guys are doing.
Sure. But the training's just, like I look at the strongman stuff, and to me, it's like, why the fuck do I want to do manual labor for free? Like, it's just like, that's how, what I'm saying?
That's a fair point.
Yeah. So the strongman will look at the powerlifting and say, well, I want to lift I want to move shit that people will think, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Everybody will think that.
Yes.
Like you carry around a big rock, everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference between a 315 and a 600-pound deadlift if you tell them.
Yeah.
They're regular people are going to be like, wow, 315.
That's a lot of praise. Yeah.
Okay, so I get it.
Yeah. So I really wasn't really attracted to powerlifting. And again, I wasn't even sure that I wanted to use my body as in a competitive way, because there was safety in being satisfied at home. And so my wife was like, if you don't compete, you're going to regret it. She was right. I competed. I got 4th place in the contest, and I was beaten by, I don't think he competes. I can't remember their names. I don't think he competes anymore, but he was like a national record holding power lifter. I got beat by Ohio's strongest man and Kentucky's strongest man. And then there was me. So I was like, oh.
How deep was the field?
There was like 15 of us, I think.
Okay.
And I got fourth. So
Yeah.
I was like, that's made me kind of go like, oh. Kind of got that fear of failure out of the way and was like, well, maybe there's something to this. You know, it's like, I say like, oh, I'm not afraid to try anything, but it's like when I really care about something, which I've always been very proud of my body and my abilities, though, like on the grand scheme in the strength world, it isn't very much. To me, it is. And so I was afraid to compete because I didn't want that bubble to be burst. You know, I didn't want to be humbled. And instead, while getting humbled by these very impressive athletes, I was like, at the same time going, I didn't know how to pick up the Atlas stone. I didn't know how to do any of this. I hadn't trained strongman at all for that contest. And I actually had a competitor in the heavyweight class teach me day of, right before I went out. This is how you pick up a stone. We had to shoulder it. He had showed me how to shoulder it. And so I went out and did it then. And then I was like, I wonder if I put full effort into this, you know, is there something here?
Well, that's an important point because this happens in powerlifting as well, is a lot of people don't think they're strong enough, you know, to compete the first time. Like, I get that. I understand that. And powerlifting, though, it's a little different because I tell them to go to open powerlifting and look at their weight class, look at their division. They're probably stronger than 30% of the people who compete.
Right.
But if they would just enter their first one, 90, I don't want to say 100 because nothing's ever 100%. 98% of the time, if you're entering your first strongman event, powerlifting event, and people know it, they're going to help you. That's just the community. Yes. They're going to help you. So everything's a PR. You haven't done it before, right? So everything's just laying the foundation for the PR, and you'll find out if you like it or you don't like it. And what you just said, you know, amplifies that case because you didn't know how to do some of the events. Yeah, you just figured, fuck it, I'll figure it out.
Let's do it. Yeah,
you know. But then you find somebody will help you, right? So after you did that. But my question, you already answered it, was did you train for it, which you didn't? And that's the important thing. You just jump in the first one. Yeah. No matter what it is, just jump in and go. Yeah. And then figure out if you like it. And some don't, you know, most end up, they do. Then you got to take the next step. Yes. So how did you go about that?
You know, I don't know where people stand on a higher power. I absolutely believe in one. And as evidenced by when I decided to really get into it, I looked up strongman gyms near me, right? Google, search everything I could find. And I found InStrong, which is owned by Aaron Snyder and Christina Bangma. Now, Aaron Snyder was kind of like an OG strongman in Indiana, and he kind of fell off, but he fell off because his significant other, Christina Bangma, who is 2017's lightweight world's strongest woman. And so I decided to get out of the Marine Corps, move to Indiana for no real motivator, just to live 45 minutes away from a real professional strongman gym.
So wait, let's back up. So why Indiana? I mean, you said no real motivator. There's 50 states.
For me, there's no real motivator. Yeah. For my wife, her parents were in Indiana. And though she was still kind of on the fence with it, I don't like heat. I wanted to get out of South Carolina. Yeah. I'd never been to Indiana, Florida. So I'm like, I hate heat. I don't like the beach and I hate heat. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, let's go to Indiana. I was like, that's the furthest north I've ever lived. It's got to be cold up there. I was wrong.
Yeah. The summer sucks.
I was dead wrong. And so that's why I was on board with that personally. And I was like, I'll just make it work, but get me out of the South. Yeah. And then she was like, okay, well, we'll be close to the parents and then that'll help us with kids. And so I would say no real motivator. I guess there is one major one there, but
so you start training with them.
Yeah, I started training with Christina, and not necessarily with them, but they were a very warm and welcoming group. So it's kind of like if I was there, they would help me and everything. And then, of course, I was still so insecure and standoffish that I didn't want to be with them because I was still so insecure about what I could do. I thought people were going to judge me for how weak I was. And so I trained there and just kind of eventually grew into the group where we all started kind of, training together. And then my schedule started going crazy to where I was only able able to train at like 2 a.m. So nobody was in the gym.
Yeah. And this is when you're at that farm, the regenerative farm.
The farm and then the job after. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Because before the farm, I found them when I was working at Pike Lumber and I was working nights so I could go during the day when everybody was there. And then kind of got established with them a little bit. And it just kind of grew from there. But then I had to go on my own, and I never trained with them again.
So how long were the days when you were doing the agriculture work? Those are...
Yeah. So it was an hour away from my house. And I have to be there by like 5:30, 6 a.m.
And you're basically on your feet or in a vehicle all day long.
All day.
In the heat, in the summer.
Well, this was winter time.
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
It was much better for me because I almost never wear a jacket, so it's much better for me. But that particular winter was harsh. It was very, and we don't use, Seven Sons doesn't use buildings for their animals except for like the pigs. They get the huts because, there's no huts in the wild, and cows can thrive on their own anywhere, so they don't need them.
There's still a long day. So I guess where I'm going is your motivation for the sport had to be high.
Oh, yes.
Because if you're out there for 12, 14 hours a day, then you got to go train.
Yes.
The default answer for most people.
I keep getting off topic. I should have warned you. I get off topic a lot because I just start rambling.
That's all right.
I would have these 12 to 14 hour long days.
Yeah.
So I would go to the gym before it.
Okay.
And I would then go to the farm after because I needed to get home because all the kids were coming from school, and wife was still working her 12-hour shifts, so we had to like make life work. It was very, very busy, very nonstop.
Yes. And then that led, what happened next? So now you're working with them, then what's the next event that you end up doing?
Oh, I was almost competing every chance I could. I don't really remember. It's kind of a blur. I just know that I was getting kind of stronger and stronger and stronger. And then eventually when I was with them while working for them, that was when I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go open super heavyweight. I don't like weight cutting. I'm not a big believer in it. And so I'm just not going to cut to 231. I'm just going to go open super. And my first open super contest was right before COVID. With the agriculture, working out with Christina. It was her contest she hosted, and it was Indiana's Strongest Man, and I won. That's 245, 248 pounds. I'm 5'8" at best.
Yeah.
There's a photo on my Instagram.
What were the events?
It was at Husafell Stone Carry Max Distance. I believe it was 365 pound stone.
All right, that doesn't help being short. All right, what was next?
Power stairs with the final step being 405. All
right, no real disadvantage there. It's kind of evened out.
Well, the difference is with power stairs, when you're tall, you just have to stand up, and up, and the weight will clear the step. When you're short, I have to almost triple extend.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I tell people that strongman is not a short guy sport.
No, it's not. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you won this.
I won by half a point. And this is where I say I've always been strong for my size. I won it because I was the strongest one that day.
Yeah.
And I've never let an event's, I'm too short for this. That doesn't exist.
What happened? What was the event after stairs?
You got the Husafell Stone Carry, the power stairs. There was a max log press, and then there was a deadlift medley. Oh, and an arm over arm pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when you went up a class, you already had to know that most of the people in the class are 6 foot or higher. Tall.
Yes. Everybody was 350 or 6'2", 3.
Yeah. And so what were you thinking? It's kind of like, what were you thinking?
Well, it was kind of like you're either strong or you're not. Right?
Yeah.
And I just let go of the need to win. I didn't really care about winning the show anymore as much as I cared about becoming the best version of myself.
So, okay, as the power lifter, this is where I get confused with strongman, right? Because a bench press is a bench press, and a squat's a squat, a deadlift's a deadlift, a PR is a PR. You're better, right? The events always change. How do you know that you're better than before?
I didn't.
That could be a problem.
Is what I'm saying.
When that's what your goal is.
Just well, it was my first open contest. I just decided to screw it. I'm going to go for it. I know that I can at least do some of these numbers, and I'm going to train really hard to get it.
Well, I'm going back to if winning's not the most important thing, then knowing that you're better is, how do you know that you're better?
Oh, if I can beat 2 of these guys, if I can beat 3 of these guys, beating one of them would have meant I'm better than I was yesterday. Because I've never competed against human beings this size before.
Okay.
And so it was just that concept of like, okay, how well do I move? And I was so deep entrenched in strongman training at this point because of Christina, that I knew I kind of knew walking into the contest how I was going to perform. And if I could beat the projections, then I know I've gotten better.
Yeah. All right. So with the competing, winning you weren't going in trying to win, right? But you're definitely going in to see how many people you can beat.
Correct.
Right. So that's where the expectation would be.
Yeah.
I can relate to that because that's kind of how I was competing, because sometimes it's so far out of what you think you can do.
Yes.
That the easier default is, I'm just not going to be last, which somebody has to be last, but it wasn't going to be me, Yes. So you would fight for that. Now that you're entrenched into this, how are you, because you still have kids, you have, I don't like the word balance because I don't think there is really such a thing. You lean into one thing and the other thing, and the balance becomes, and we'll talk a little bit more on that. The sacrifice is a word that's really fucked up to me. When lifters will say, "Oh, I had to sacrifice," it's like, no, you didn't. Your wife did.
Man, my family is. I am not one of those guys. Yeah,
your family does. So you still got to kind of hold all this stuff together, where a lot of people in strength sports fail at doing so. Did you feel like you were getting to that point to where everything else could just fall apart because of the passion and the desire that's in the strength sport? You know what I'm talking about with a lot of other lifters.
Yes, because I mean, after I won that contest, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be world's strongest man.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I have a strong wife is the only thing I can say to make me, if she wasn't the woman that she is, there is no way that I would have ever put my head down the way I did to get better.
So she was supportive of this from the gym.
Very, very supportive.
Okay.
Yeah. She, as we were talking earlier in the podcast about my mental health journey and how I had to grow and mature, she was the one who made me aware of that in the first place. Kind of said, hey, there's a lot of work that needs to be done here. I'm here for you, but like, do the work or I'm not going to be. And so she knew that strongman was a great outlet for me. And I was finding early success, which made me feel more confident, which it started changing my life in the more positive way everywhere. She saw that and was like, go get your gold. Go do what you need to do.
So to go back, when she said, do the work or I'm not going to be here, was that like this big defining pivotal moment where you're like, oh shit, and then you have to really start to focus?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because she was, first time I ever laid eyes on her, I actually said, not that one. She's too good for me. I didn't even try. So now that I've had her, and I've had her for a little bit, like I say, like I'm possessive. I don't mean it that way. I just mean that where I finally got a relationship with this thing that I thought was unobtainable. And then she makes me aware that, hey, you're slipping up a little too much. Yeah, that was a big wake up call.
So what happened next? Right? Because it's in situations like that, if I've been in a situation like that where it's either you do this or this is over.
Yeah.
Right. It's like panic mode, so it's like going through the stages of grief. Then you got to figure out what you have to do to make yourself better.
Yes.
Right. So what were some of those things that you had to do or that helped you to do that? I would say
that it was easier for me just because the issues she came to me with weren't like, you're not being a good family man. You're not being a good husband. It was, you're not happy and it's starting to bleed into everything and you need to go do the things that make you happy.
So it was
it made it a lot easier for me to go, okay, I need to go train for real. I need to prioritize my diet the right way, because at the time I was still drinking. I was training, but I was drinking heavily. I was still, I was still doing all the wrong things. I just happened to be strong enough to accomplish the things I was accomplishing. And this is, this was before Indiana's Strongest. That was when I started taking things a little more seriously. But yeah, it made it easy on me, because it was like, okay, then I just need to wake up and I need to eat what I'm going to eat and not feel guilty about it. Cause that was one of the things, as you know, and I'm sure people you've trained know, and everyone in the powerlifting world knows, our grocery bill is huge. My grocery bill for myself is almost as much as it is for my family. So I've never been the guy to be that selfish. And so I felt a lot of guilt, and so I wouldn't do it. But then I wouldn't get the things that I wanted, and I would get angry, and she could see it, and she could see it was eating away at me, killing me. So she was basically just like, F everything else, do what you need to do.
Okay.
And that made it very easy.
So this led to several more. Well, when you were competing, you said you competed a lot. I think that's another big thing for beginners in any of this stuff, is to compete as frequently as they can. Mm-hmm. At what point did you start to, and maybe you didn't, at what point did you start to dial that back to actually train for specific events?
After that Indiana Strongest, man.
Okay.
That was another pivotal moment, because again, I thought I was going into the contest thinking I was in over my head. I don't know if you're familiar with the name Bryce Johnson.
Yeah.
But he's the guy who got second. I beat him by half a point. He's 6'6". He's 405 pounds now. I think he was like 350 back then. So he was just beginning his strongman journey. I think he was with the Cowboys the year before. And so here I am beating this giant who I could tell was going to be like a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, if I can stave this guy off at 248 and do all this, I was like, I'm going to stop competing and I'm going to really focus in. And so I did. And went to nationals, got my butt completely handed to me. It was a good wake-up call, though, because I went into nationals feeling good. And then I got like middle of the pack, like 27 out of like 52 of us.
Still in the supers?
Still in the supers, yeah. And at this point, I think I was 252, 253. And again, not taking my diet as serious as I should have been, because I'm a CNA at this point. I'm still working 12-hour shifts. My gym is still 45 minutes one way from my house. I still have children. So like I was drinking milk and I was eating chicken wings. That was my diet.
Yeah.
I had heard, there were 10 grams of protein per extra large chicken wing. So I ate 30 wings a day and I drank a gallon of milk.
Yeah, so you covered your bases.
Not really fully considered, but I didn't really consider carbs. So like the only carbs I got were like, I'm going to eat an iced honey bun and a bag of Skittles before I go lift as my pre-workout meal. Because I was like, I'll get the sugar in my system really fast. Man, training hurt. Mm-hmm. It hurt. It was draining. It was exhausting. There was some weeks I would feel strong. There was some weeks I didn't know. And John's in the picture now. And like, I didn't know like what I was doing wrong. And it was like, I'm getting 4.5 hours of sleep and I'm eating a ton of protein, but nothing else.
Yes.
And so, I thought it was like John's magic that would make me strong on contest day, because we won South Carolina's Strongest Man together. And that was after I transitioned to the under 265 class became prominent. It wasn't there before. It was there now. I was 250. I was like, I'm going to go try the under 265 class. And that I walked in and was the top guy because of that, or one of, I shouldn't say the top guy. It was a top guy. And like I would take 7 days off before a contest. And then the day before the contest, I would eat like 1,000 grams of carbs. I would eat, my minimum protein, which was like, 250, 260. And then I would eat like 1,000 grams of carbs. And I didn't even monitor the fat. And when I mean carbs, I was drinking like 2 liters of soda. I was eating.
So all simple carbs.
I was eating, it was all just sugar. It was not clean at all. And then I would wake up the next day and it was like, I looked twice the size. I didn't have any understanding at all. I did not put it together that it was carbs doing this. And I just thought, 7 days of rest. John was right. I just need to have the rest. So I was sleeping more and I would eat. And like, so when I competed at like nationals at under 265, a good example I like to use in training, there was a max trap bar deadlift. In training, I could barely ever get over 500 pounds with bands. In the contest, I pulled 815 pounds. And so and then that's the contest that it all started clicking together, because I was winning nationals going into day 2. I ended up injuring my quad, and I got like dead last in the last 2 events, which was like the wheelbarrow and yoke carry, and then another power stairs event. And I got dead last in like those 2 events and only dropped to 7th. So I was doing really, really well. I only dropped 6 places, and there was like 30 of us. And I got a quad injury. It's like a weird, I don't want to call it a tear. It's like they called it like an expand, like a shredding. It's like the muscle was all attached there, but like instead of the fibers being here, it was like this, and it got some fluid got in there, and it got a huge infection. It was bad. But I realized then that, oh, maybe if I ate more,
Ate more or ate better?
More and better.
Yeah.
Because I'm still taking in, the protein, but now, my caloric intake is closer to the 5,000 range, because of the carbs.
Yeah.
But, I eat 600 to 700 carbs a day. Grams of carbs a day. Just
all right. So when you start to focus more on the nutrition and then the sleep, which is the last thing that we all focus on. I think age kind of makes us have to do that because you're not recovering the same way. Then what did you notice different, or how did you change your training at that point too?
Well, I realized it a little too late. I had already won the World Strength Games, and then the Nationals came, and then I was training for pro wrestling.
Okay.
So I didn't realize how to diet properly or rest properly until I had already left the sport.
So what did your training look like?
Well, when I was in the school, you're in the ring.
Well, not the wrestling, the training for your last couple strong.
Oh, those last 2 contests?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last 2 contests were the World Strength Games, and I didn't have the diet right for either one of those.
Yeah.
So it was the same, it's training for those contests and grinding out hard reps and just fighting through. There were several days where I would get to the end of the training week and I literally couldn't do the program.
So what would the training week look like? Throughout the week?
Just exactly what I did for the contest?
Yeah.
Okay. For the nationals, we had a max sandbag toss, which for me was a weaker event at the time. And so we did a lot of explosive posterior chain work. I can't remember the exact program, so I don't know how in detail you want.
Every day?
No, twice a week.
So your training was twice a week. So the other days there's no training?
I trained 4 days a week.
Okay.
But I just meant for the posterior chain twice a week.
Yes.
So I had 2 posterior chain days, 2 press days.
So were they all like event-based days, or were there weight room days and then event-based days?
One was event, one was weight room.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then you would just, with the weight room, what were the main lifts that you used that you found had carryover for you?
That wide stance, that West Side barbell style box squat, was a game changer for me. That lift became huge, and I would use like the blue bands, and I think I had like 700 pounds on the SBD bar at that point, and I was able to use that, like crank that up for 1. And as that lift went up, my yoke went higher, my deadlift went higher, Atlas stones everything went higher with that. Barbell rows were huge for like picking up a sandbag or something like that. Those were big on getting the good squeeze and having that strong back. And on press days, I was an anti-bencher for a long time. I thought the bench was a stupid lift. I didn't understand it. I didn't know why anyone wanted to lay down and press something up. But when I got with John, he explained to me what it could do for my overhead, and he programmed it in a way that the bench is now very important to me, and I realized.
Well, did you notice that it had any correspondence though?
Absolutely.
How so?
Tricep strength was number 1. We did almost all my bench work close grip.
Okay.
And if it wasn't close grip, we'd put a block on. And just everything was like, hey, we're going to build those triceps up and those front delts up to get the overhead up. And so instead of it being like, I'm working on overhead press, it was like it's vertical press or horizontal press day. It just didn't matter what it was. Each press style that we did always translated to the other.
All right. And then your cardiovascular anaerobic and aerobic endurance, was that just trained with the events?
Yes, I I didn't do the cardio that I was supposed to be doing.
Well,
So, yeah.
that's why I worded the question.
Yeah, I didn't do the cardio I was supposed to be doing, so I would get the cardio with so if I had to do an Atlas Stone carry, like I would just, go back and forth as quick as I could. It's the M bag carry. I mean, you have to pop these bags up and you have to sprint. So I'm like, oh, this is cardio enough. Yoke carry, that's cardio enough.
So
what I was thinking.
How did the wrestling come into the fold?
So 2 years before I went to wrestling school, I had a beef business. I had all the things I had the beef business, the homestead with my cows, like I was saying. I was a CNA. I was trying to become like a full-time pro strongman. The beef business wasn't going to work out. I needed to expand, and there was no avenue I could take to expand. And so it's like, well, I'll get a food truck. So I ended up buying this old camper. I'm gutting this camper. I'm doing like 6 plans at once to try and keep my future safe, right? If this one fails, I've got 5 more.
Yeah.
And
I'm seeing this pattern.
Yeah. and then pro wrestling was one of them. I told my wife, we had just started to kind of get into it. I took my kids to a WWE house show in Fort Wayne, Indiana. A house show is no cameras or anything. It's just them performing. And I didn't really watch pro wrestling growing up or anything like that. And so I just wanted to take them to, the seats were like $15. So I was like, we have a lot of kids. You look for cheap events to take them to, whether they're into it or not. You just see if something sticks because that's all you can afford to do. So we go, and my wife is there. All the kids are there. And, thankfully these guys think the world of me, and they're watching these wrestling and they're like, you could do that, and I'm arrogantly thinking, yeah, I could. That looks easy. With how strong I am, I know these guys aren't that strong. I could probably do this stuff in my sleep. No problem.
Yeah, but you got to move.
Oh, I was dead wrong. I was dead. I could not have been more wrong. So this is 2 years. The wrestling school I chose had a 2-year waiting list. And so a couple weeks later, I looked at my wife in the kitchen. I remember it was in the kitchen because she this was part of that growth we're talking about. She kind of teared up when I said this. I was like, I'm going to stop the food truck. We're going to stop the beef business. I'm just going to focus on pro wrestling. I was like, I'm going to go and win the World Strength Games in 2 years. And I'm going to go to pro wrestling school, and I'm going to go to the WWE. That's what I'm going to do. And that's my one plan. And we're going to go all in.
Dave Tate here from Elite FTS to talk to you about bands. We've been a supplier of bands for almost 2 decades now. So I've known my way around the band landscape. When I'm talking about bands, I'm talking about floss bands, long bands, short bands, bands you can use for resistance training, mobility training, body weight training, and flossing. One of our most popular bands, or actually our most popular bands, are the long bands. The long bands are typically used the most with squats, bench presses. Our floss bands are bands that you wrap around the joint to be able to help with mobility, circulation. And the short bands are designed for shorter range movements, bench press, deadlifts, and a lot of times people will use them with resistance machines to help accommodate the strength resistance curve. Head over to elitefts.com and look for bands in the toolbar or blowout menu.
And she was like, oh, finally, yeah. You're going to back something and go all in, because I had just put my hand in every pot ever and was like, one of these is going to work out.
So what about the wrestling convinced you to do that?
I just thought I could.
I know, but you watched that one event, right? And then what happened next?
Oh, it was the plan was to try and get a world title in the under 265 pound class and go to wrestling. Nothing really happened. I just decided to do it. And I looked up a school, which was Black and Brave Wrestling Academy in Davenport, Iowa, with Seth Rollins, Marek Brave, and Matt Mayday as the coaches. And I didn't know who any of them were because I didn't watch pro wrestling, but it was 5 hours from my house. They offered housing. And I was like, okay, I can go home on the weekends.
So what about it? Because you're going from
money, strictly money.
So money,
strictly money.
I can make money.
I can make money doing this. Is what I thought. Well, the goal is, I arrogantly thought, well, I'm just going to go straight to WWE. So I'm going to make a bunch of money.
Yeah. All right. So then you're waiting for the school.
Yeah.
Right? And you're still doing the strongman.
The plan was, that's when it was like, okay, World Strength Games and Nationals. If I can get these 2 titles, how does anyone tell me no? is basically in
Okay, so
the
that
pro
was
wrestling world.
leverage. That was going to be your leverage.
That was gonna, it's kind of like a job interview. What makes you think you're good enough to be in the WWE? It's like, well, I'm a champion strongman. You know what I mean? I won these titles, and that should be attractive to you because I bring legitimacy to the ring. Mm-hmm. And so that became the main focus.
Okay, so your first day of the school, because you have no idea what's going on, right? So what's that look like?
I'm not allowed to go into too much detail about the first day. It's hard. It's very, very hard. It's a lot of exercise.
Boot camp hard?
Yes. I threw up. Definitely threw up. It's a lot of intense exercise. Nobody's being mean to you or anything like that, but it's a real gut check to let you know the next 3 months of you thought coming to pro wrestling was going to be this easy thing. You thought coming to pro wrestling, pro wrestling's fake, so it's simple, it's easy. It's a wake up call. It's a big wake up call.
So you have to, in this time period, you have to acquire the conditioning, right? And then the skills.
Yes.
And all this, obviously the first skills are not to hurt somebody.
No. Yes. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to put it there because people are. So are they, during that time period, are they kind of vetting you to be able to, on their end, because I assume you've spoken to them after you've been through the school.
Yes.
Are they watching, this guy's got a chance, this guy, fuck him, there's no hope? Or is it?
They'll tell you while you're training.
Yeah.
They want you to quit.
Okay.
Because if you're the guy who quits, you don't belong in pro wrestling.
Okay.
That's kind of, and I shouldn't say they want you to quit. They would prefer that everyone succeeds, but if you don't have what it takes, they don't want a graduate from their school lowering the standard that they have for pro wrestling. So they would rather you just quit if you're going to whine a lot.
Was there any time throughout that process where you wanted to quit? For real? I mean, I get there's the times that, what the hell am I doing?
I can, for real?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Because I had some pretty bad injuries in the school that I did not tell them about. Because if I had told them about, they probably would have made me go and come back when I was ready. And, at the time I'm just turned 35, and I'm old and I'm short. I don't, and you learn this in pro wrestling is like, oh man, I'm really old. Bigger companies don't like that. Oh, I'm not that tall. Bigger companies don't like that. So I have a large mountain to climb here if I want to get to the goals that I want to get to. And
how was the mobility of just moving around?
So the Marine Corps made me athletic. There's a lot of running and jumping in the Marine Corps. So while I am not an NFL player, at my size and everything, I do think I move well enough for the way that, you see the way I'm built. I'm it's like a fridge. And so you don't expect a fridge to be able to, I can roll, I can flip, I can go run the ropes for a while. I can do all the things I need to do for that. But a positive of being my size, especially on the independent scene, is there's not a lot of people built like me. So I'm not required to do that because the littler guys need to do that. I'm the big guy that does the basing for them, that presses them, that throws them, that holds them while they spin around me, and then I flip myself and everything like that. So it's okay when you're, I'm 285 pounds to not have to have the world's all the mobility in the world, but it is more attractive that the more you can move at this size, the more people can do with you.
Yes. So after you get through the school and you start, what do they call it, a circuit, or you start. What do you
hitting the road?
Hitting the road, right? All right. Once you start doing that, what does that look like when you're first starting out? Are people reaching out to you? Do you have to reach out to them? Do you just show up?
You have to reach out. You have to just show up. Nobody cares that you exist.
So you can show up and them not even put you in.
Correct. So the first month and a half of wrestling, I was on the road 4 days a week, and I didn't get to wrestle one time. I showed up, I set up the ring, I did security, I tore the ring down, went back on the road to the next show for the next day. I did the same thing for them.
I assume you're not getting paid for any of this.
None of it. No.
Yes.
So you're just doing it to introduce yourself. And I knew, because of the way I'm built, because of the way that I look, that It was going to happen for me sooner or later. I just needed to get in front of them so they could see, like, hey, you don't have a body like me. If you want a body like me, and everyone gets excited when they first see me, like, oh man, how long have you been working? I'm like, I haven't had a match yet. And they're like, oh, I can't use you.
And this went on for how long did you say?
About a month and a half.
A month and a half.
And I had a big break.
All right. So that's 4 days. Like you said, Monday through Thursday or Thursday.
It'd be like Thursday through Sunday.
Walk me through what those dates look like.
Okay, so yeah, Thursday morning, you get up, you got to get to, like, let's say I'm going to Louisville.
Yeah.
And I'm going there and I'm setting up the ring in Louisville and doing the thing there.
So you got to drive from your house.
Yeah, drive from my house to Louisville, do the job. Job's done. Pack up everything. It's 11 p.m. Well, I need to be in Chicago the next day. So start driving to Chicago, go until you can't, pull over at a truck stop, go to sleep. Go back and finish the drive the next day, do the same thing in Chicago. Next show I need to be at is in the smallest town in the world, somewhere in Illinois. Okay, it's not that far. I'm going to sleep in my car in Chicago. And so I sleep in my car in Chicago. You know, I've got baby wipes. I've got a laundry stack in the back. I've got a pillow and blanket. I've set my car up where I can put the seats down. I can lay my body down and everything. And then I drive to this small town, Illinois. Same thing. Oh, now I'm in Detroit. Let's go to Detroit. And then I'm back home.
Okay. Then when you come back home, you got to work.
Yeah.
And those are 12-hour days.
Yeah.
There. So, and when do you recover?
You don't.
When do you train?
In the beginning, you don't. Training in the beginning.
Yes, because that's a weird one there because you got like a month and a half, 2 months, and you're not even doing the thing.
Yeah. So training wrestling, I didn't get to do.
Yeah.
For that first, you know, if the only time you get to do it is like set up a ring. Hey, are you wrestling today? No. Hey, you want to fool around in the ring real quick?
Okay.
You know, you get a little just to stay fresh or anything like that. And then sometimes, you know, I would go to Iowa. And so, and Davenport was there. Once you graduate from Black and Brave, you have free access to the gym for the rest of your life. So I'd go there and try to get in the ring with somebody. And it was just kind of one of those things. Gym training didn't exist for that first month and a half, maybe like 1 day a week. I'd get in and do like a full body something just to get blood back into the muscles to keep my size. And then ring training happened whenever I could get it.
All right. So how did the first match manifest? Because I assume you didn't know.
That's what I said. I got a big break.
Yeah.
I got a message from Iron Spirit Pro in Normal, Illinois. And they were like, hey, this guy's injured. We need a guy. Can you be here? Absolutely. I got like 2 days notice. And so I had to call another company and let them know, hey, I know I told you I'd show up for ring crew because they weren't booking me. And I was like, but I just got a match and I have to take that. They're like, absolutely, good luck. So I go and I have the match. And I actually did it with one of the graduates from Black and Brave. He's a personal friend of mine, Shane Boucher. His wrestling mind is very good. And he made me look like $1 million. And I took that match and I sent it to every promotion I had gone to over that month and a half. And I have been booked nonstop ever since.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or I don't have a day job anymore.
What did you feel like after that match?
Oh, I felt like $1 million.
How many people were there?
There's probably 100, 125.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, 15,000 with the WWE or anything, but like, I personally believe on the independent scene, once you get into triple digits for the audience, it's a good show. That's a good job. And we just need to give them the better wrestling so the crowd grows. Yeah. So it was, I was what is known in the business as a heel. Are you familiar with that term? Yeah. So I was the heel, and he was the face, and I got the boos, and I watched that match back now, and I look at like, oh God, I could have done this here, I could have done that here, and do all that, but like, I remember before going out to the curtain, I was actually so nervous that I was like, you know what? I trained, I did the thing, I could just leave. I was like, I don't have to. I could just leave. I got so scared to actually do it in front of a crowd. I was like, I could just get out of here. My wife already told me that she's proud of me, and and I'm proud of me, and this is good. Kids are proud of me. Everything's good. I'm on the right mental health track. I don't have to do this. I don't have anything to prove. I can just leave. And I'm very glad that I didn't. But that was the first like full. I'd never had that thought before. to back out of something like that. And I was so intimidated about getting in front of these people and being that vulnerable.
Now, before that point, when you were driving all over the place just to be able to help, how many others do that? To the same level that you were? To
the same level that I did, I haven't met anyone. That's not true. There are some that are very high in the independent scene now, like Steve Manders is someone that has done it. I had these graduates like Shane Boucher, Solomon Tupu, and Jay Marston. They were three that based on what they told me, they didn't do it to the extent I did, but they still did the right things. They did it the right way. But I don't know, because I lost a lot of money. I was driving everywhere. I was sleeping in my car every day. I couldn't afford the food on the road, so I was only eating one meal a day. I don't know anybody else that's done that.
Yes. So is this one of these things where, as long as the skills are, obviously you got to have the skills, you got to have the ability to do the thing.
Yeah.
Right? As long as you have that you can rise to a certain point just because others fall out.
Yes, you could. And I honestly don't recommend people do it the way as extremely as I did it. I was very much betting on my body.
Yeah, but wouldn't it take them longer?
It would take them long. If they did it the way that I did it, they would be doing it for months, if not a year. I got lucky because of the way I look.
Okay.
The way I look opened up a lot of doors for me. And what got me to stay in the doors is the skills. I was good enough that they were like, okay, we're going to keep booking this guy, but I tell people that, like, cause most of the independent wrestlers, like 200 pounds is a big guy to them. I was like, there's 50,000, 200 pounds, 6'2" independent wrestlers out there. What makes you different from the other guy? I had something just walking in that separated me. So that's why it happened so quickly for me. Mm-hmm. So I don't tell people to do exactly what I did, because I was very extreme banking on that. If I didn't have that, I would not have done it that way.
Okay. So what were some of the things that you wish you would have known before you got into it, just from a training conditioning standpoint?
How serious the cardio was. And how real everything feels. You know what I mean? I thought a ring was built and it was padded and it was comfortable and it was like, why else would anyone else be flopping around on it? You're falling on boards, like you're hitting hard wood. So it's and the cardio, there's nothing like it. You can't, I can run at 285 pounds. I can, out of this door, go and run like a 9 to a 9.5 minute mile. I can do 500 meters on a row machine in under a minute, 40 seconds. And I'm, how short I am. I have to put out a lot of power to get it that quick. In-ring cardio is still rough. And it's because you have whole body tension. You're having to look like you're really in a fight. You have to make everything look like you didn't pre-call it, or you didn't think, hey, we're going to run this spot here where we do all this. So the facial expressions has to be there. So not only are you at like full muscular tension, your mental capacity is at 100% as well, because you have to think of 50 things at the same time.
Yeah.
So I wish that I took cardio more seriously, because I'm still fighting that battle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, once it's there, I would assume it's kind of easy to maintain as long as you have the ring time 2 or 3 times per week. Would that be true?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Getting there is another story, right? Or if you have 6 weeks off, then...
Yeah. Yes. Recently, I had a shoulder injury. I don't have health insurance, so I don't know what it was. It just hurt, and I couldn't really use it very well. And I had some pretty big sciatica pain where I was having trouble walking. And so I took about 3 to 4 weeks off. And then that first week back in the ring was awful. After that first week, I was back. It all came back really quick, but man, I forgot. I was like, oh my God, I'm already breathing heavy. Oh, I need to lay down for, it was like, It's a whole thing,
So what is it? What's your life look like now, right? From that travel, are you still kind of on the road 4 days a week and then home, or is it all the time on the road?
Now my priorities are different because of the tryout that I have coming in January. So I am not focused so much on making money and getting to as many promotions as possible. I'm focused on training, cardio, and fundamental, just becoming the best base wrestler I possibly can. So when I do go to this tryout, hopefully it's enough.
Now with the tryout, there's also character development. Like when you go to this tryout, do you have to lean 100% into one character and just hope that's what they're looking for?
So, in anything in wrestling, it's like bodybuilding. It's subjective. It's up to the judges, right?
Yeah.
So all of it is, I hope that they're looking for someone like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't know who to present. Or are there people to help you?
When it's a try, so obviously I've not done one before, so I can't tell you too much how it works because I honestly don't know. But from the information I've gathered, you're going to show up and you're going to have to cut a promo, and it's going to be 1 minute long, and it's an introductory promo, and it's going to be about why you want to be there. So that's less character gimmick, I think, than I can tell you something real.
Yeah,
and really put passion And I know with promos, like even on the indies, promoters, they don't want a guy that can't talk. I need to be able to inflect. If I need to be angry, I need to show anger. If I need to be sad, I need to show sad. I have to be able to do these things. So I'm willing to guess that in that introductory promo, that's what they're looking for. I don't know if they care so much about the words you say, but how you say them is probably.
How do you, because that had to be new for you too. Right, because like in Strongman, they're not giving you like lessons on how to, but they should, because it would help Strongman
draw more attention.
It would draw more attention.
Yes.
How do you go about working on that? Right, because it's like acting, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole skill in itself. So you have all the movement and all the skill ring work, but then you have all this skill development over here too.
Yeah. So I was a theater kid.
Okay.
And so I have a little bit of an acting background, nothing as an adult, but enough. And I'm a bit of a cinephile as well. So I do study these things and I do try to learn them to where, and
what's a cinephile?
Movie addict.
Okay.
I love movies. I watch movies all the time, any time that I can. And so I have all these things and that background with that. And then I'm naturally a very eccentric person, which is also what attracted me to Strongman. Is like, it wasn't just a barbell going up and down. It was throwing a rock, something along those lines. I really like how it stood out. And so I've always been that way, that the talking portion kind of came naturally to me. It just kind of happened.
So I'm intrigued by stuff like this. When you're watching a movie, being the fanatic that you are, at this point, are you watching at a deeper level now, like how this person is playing that character instead of just watching the movie?
Eventually. The first time for any movie, I want to appreciate the craft for what it is. But that's also why I watch things like 5 times.
Because you're peeling it back.
It's the same thing with wrestling matches. I used to watch wrestling when I first signed up for the school. I used to watch it like, I'm going to learn this craft. And then I was entertained by it. I was like, this is lovely. This is lovely. Now I study matches over and over and over. Why did he step here? Why did he smile there? What is the purpose for going outside of the ring here at this moment? Did they tease something here to bring it back up over here? Some of these matches are 45 minutes long and they'll do something in the first 30 seconds that won't come back until the end. And you have to pick up on those nuances. And so it's the same exact thing. I don't want to say it's a job because I absolutely love acting and wrestling. But it is definitely a craft.
Well, it's a crazy rabbit hole because when I decided to lean into this podcast, and I used to listen to podcasts, but then I started listening in different ways. Like what's the lead question, and then what's the follow up question? Then
I wouldn't know anything.
But it's just this. It's a surface level. It's entertainment, right?
Yes.
But then when you start to get in there, it's just like this giant fucking rabbit hole that just you can get lost in it with the nuance because there's so much nuance, right? Yeah. And I'm sure this is the same way.
Well, yeah, kind of. Because I felt the way you've asked questions here today, and kind of at the pace that you've asked them, and like maybe I've rambled something here. I've caught you steering me.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's about the only thing I think I can pick up on with the podcasting. But I imagine that's part of that rabbit hole you're talking about.
Oh yeah, it's just there's so many things because with say the acting, right? There's tonality, there's wordplay, there's so much, right?
Yeah. How many different ways can I say this one line? You know, and what mood do I want to make the audience feel from that one line? And then that's where you build from. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you not get lost in how fucked that nuance can get? Because you can overthink the one line to the point to where it just sucks now.
I'm a black and white thinker. So if you tell me, make the audience mad, I'll find the black to the white. I'll find the white to the black. I will just find the way, what makes this audience mad, or how am I going to get them to boo me in this certain way? I don't have a lot of gray area, so I'm going to hit them directly with it. And that simplifies a lot of things.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say you're in the ring and you start the match, and your goal is to get them to hate you as fast as you possibly can.
Sure.
15 seconds go by, you've already done two things that haven't worked that were supposed to work.
Yeah.
Now you got to pivot. First, you got to know you need to pivot.
Yes.
But you still need to not get fucked up and lose track of what's going on in the ring. So you got to,
correct.
You have to have spatial awareness, and then you have to have that physical awareness, but then you have to have the ability to pivot
and communicate with your dance partner at the same time.
Yes. Right. Yes. So how do you go about balancing all that out?
I mean,
there's a lot to take in.
There is no way to explain it. It is reps after reps after reps. So I've been in the business, since my first match, underneath 2 years. And I've had almost 180 matches in that time. And there are people that have wrestled for 4 years that don't have that many, or, you know, but then of course there's other people that get over 100 matches every year. And I've learned, especially in this back half, because it's just now that I'm starting to hear the audience while I'm wrestling and going, this isn't working. I need to change.
All right. So when you're watching the veterans, and can you see when they have to go off script because it's not going the way that the crowd wants it to go?
Sometimes they're really good at it and they make it look like this is what was supposed to happen. Or, you know, there's always, especially with the veterans that are on television, a lot of them do what's called walking and talking. They'll have spots in the match that they know they have to get to. Everything else in between, they're making it up in the ring. And so hard to spot when something goes wrong when they're just making it up right there based off of the audience reactions. The pre-set out matches like my generation's doing, where we basically in the back and we talk about what we're going to do from start to finish. The only thing that I don't like to plan is that when I'm a heel, we get into what's called the heat. And that's when I'm supposed to draw all the buzz to me. I'm supposed to draw all the heat to me, all attention on me, all the boos on me. That's the only thing I don't call, because when you're in the heat and you have something predetermined, if it's not working, you have to change it, because my job is to get that babyface sympathy. I need to make them not just boo me, but cheer for him at the right times. And so I always tell the guy in the back, like, just listen to me out there. Here's like 4 or 5 predetermined moves that I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to say before I do them. Be ready. And
they remember.
Yeah.
Is there a story arc that plays out across all matches, or is the story arc always different?
Always different. It's something that I pride myself on, and that's from studying my coach, Seth Rollins. You know, Seth Rollins is, in my opinion, great for many reasons, but the biggest one to me is his ability to wrestle anyone, no matter the size, no matter the shape, no matter the style. He can get a story with what he does and base everything he does around his opponent. And I am trying to build myself in the same way. I'm a big guy. I throw people. That's my thing. I throw people. How am I going to wrestle this person? If I'm the bad guy, he's the good guy. How am I going to get booed when I do the big moves that get the oohs and the ahs? Well, then I have to downgrade myself a little bit. I'll time my place with my throws with a baby face to where it'll be where I take away something the audience wants. So the baby face will be charging up to hit something. I'm gonna slam him. He's not going to get it. And then we're going to tease that throughout the whole match. And eventually he's probably going to beat me with it, or he's going to set me up to win with it. Something along those lines. It really just depends, size, shape, style of wrestler, what I'm going to do to make the story happen.
So at the level that you're at now, do you know who's going to win, who's not before you go in?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's predetermined.
That's predetermined.
How predetermined? Because you may not know this. I mean, you're
I usually don't know until I show up.
Yeah, you don't know. So you got to work this story out with the person before you go out.
Yeah.
How long does that take?
It's not long. You know,
what if they're brand new?
If they're brand new, we're not talking about it. You're listening to me.
Okay.
It's the same thing that I did when I started, you know, and I'm still, you know, technically the amount of time I've been in, I'm still very green for the business. So I do a lot of listening still. Now, because of where I've been able to wrestle and the level that I'm at with the people that I'm wrestling, normally I go to these places that I don't normally wrestle. Like if I'm going for a one-off, and it's okay, I'm allowed to be experienced there. But like if I'm at like AAW in Chicago, that's a huge place to be, with a lot of history of guys that are on television. They wrestled there. And I sit down and shut up and kind of give them the yes, sir. Now, if there's something that I don't like, of course, I'm going to speak up because it's my brand. I'm my own business. I need to protect my brand. But I'm usually the greener guy. So I'm just going to, nod and whatever you want, because if you've made it this far in the business to where you're a top guy, then you know how to wrestle somebody without burying them, without making them look bad, to make yourself look good. You know how to make us both look good. And so that's when, you know, the new guy needs to listen.
Has this been, how can I ask it? In Strongman, when you're competing, it's different as you rise in the ranks, right? I always kind of equate it to the Wizard of Oz, you know, with as long as you stay on the path, but you don't see what's behind the curtain, everything's really, really cool. Right. And I'm sure everything is kind of like that, right? Because there's always, you know, federation politics and all the other kind of crap that falls in there.
Yeah.
And you, with your experience thus far, how much do you have to pay attention to that part of it to be able to move forward?
I don't pay attention to any of that.
All right. So it's just staying on the...
Yeah. I'm here. While this is a passion, it is also a job. And I need to be attractive to promoters. So that means that I need to be the guy that is reliable. I show up on time. I ask, what do you need me to do? And then I do it.
Well, is it with the wrestlers, I guess is what you would call them. Is it kind of like you find in the strength sports, to where there's a big group of them that just do that, right? But then there's a subgroup that seems to be infatuated. Well, it's a second part to the question. That just always they just fucking can't let that go, right? And you don't want to get sucked into that, right? Because A, you have no control over it, and it's just going to mess your head up. But B, you don't want to get on the bad side of anybody either.
Yeah, there is that. There is definitely that. You have to choose your friends wisely. You can't tell everybody everything that's going on in your career, because there's a lot of jealousy. There was a lot of jealousy when I first started, because there's a lot of people that have put a lot of time in. And all of a sudden, I'm on the card that they want to be on, that they've been trying to be on for years. Who's this new guy? He doesn't know anything. He's not even that good. Why is he taking my spot? Kind of thing. So you have to be very careful with that. And that's why I just try to stick to the mantra, respectful and kind to everybody at all times, because I don't have any, you know, like, I'm 36 years old. I have 6 kids. I'm married. I have a home to go to. I have no time getting caught up in some 20-year-old's drama because they're very passionate about something. So I just try to make sure I stay separate from that as much as I can.
As much as you can.
Yeah. There are some times, especially because there are egos in any business. And again, I don't want to crap on anybody here or anything, so I won't name any names. But there are several instances where something I'm very protective of is my strength. There are maybe 10 guys in the world that I've seen in pro wrestling that I would be willing to say, okay, you can be stronger than me, because you are. But there's a lot of guys that are 6'2", 230, 240 pounds that are like, oh, I'm Godzilla. And I'm like, no, you're not with me. And they're like, well, I'm 6'2", you're short, so that makes me stronger. And I'm not willing. When I first started, I was okay with it, and I was willing to be like, okay, I'm the new guy. I'm just going to get these reps in. Now I'm very protective of it. I have a brand. Everyone knows how strong I am. Everyone knows my background. So I need to protect that, because that's what makes me money, is being that brand, being that wrestler. So I am capable of doing it. Like if you're 6 foot and 280, we're equals. You look like it, you know what I mean? But again, if you're like 6'2", 240 pounds, and you don't look like it's not in the up, you're not built in the upper body, you know, you're just 240 because you're a taller guy, then I'm sorry. You have to look at it in a way that when we stand in the ring next to each other, what is the crowd going to think? You look like a guy that's just working at a gas station. I look like an old school strongman. They're going to look at me and know I'm stronger. So just let me be stronger and know that I'm going to protect your moves with it.
I get it.
You know, and so a lot of that politicking goes in. Is that guy friends with the promoter? Who's the promoter? Do I have to bend to the promoter on this one? Do I have to, things like that? And then, yeah. So I try to avoid all of that as much as I can. Absolutely.
Okay. Hey guys, if you're enjoying what you're watching, make sure to take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm like, oh my God. And I had never pulled on an axle. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize just how different it was. And so it would break the ground. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm even moving this. And one of my opponents actually gave me his figure eights in the middle of it. And I ended up breaking out like 3 reps on a bar I'd never tried to move before, in like the last 25 seconds. And so that's a very memorable moment. That Indiana Strongest Man win was, like I said, that was a big pivot for me. That was big. By far the greatest memory was this year was winning America's Strongest Veteran at the Olympia. I didn't train for it. I always wanted to do that contest. And the timetable never lined up. Financially, it was hard. And then everything goes where I get to have a childless vacation with my wife. The first one ever. You know, we didn't have a honeymoon. In Las Vegas at the Olympia, and I get to compete. And I get to win. And again, the guy in second place was like 6'5", 380 pounds. And that whole weekend was perfect, because going into day 2, I definitely thought I was not going to win. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the sandbag toss, like I was talking about, that one nationals is a weak event for me. And I ended up getting the 45-pound bag over the bar, and I had the fastest time to do it. And so that was huge.
Was it the last event that you knew that you won on, or did you have the lead before that one? At what point did you know you were going to win?
I had the lead going into going out of day 1, because it was axle press for reps, 325 for reps. It was keg carry and load, which was like I think it was 300, 325, 350 go and carry, and loaded over a bar that's at my nose, you know, and then it was like a hoist pull. So not like an arm over arm. It was actually pulling something vertically up, and you weren't pulling the rope straight forward. It was down. So
you're pulling down?
Yes, at an angle. Like you can.
Okay.
I'm going to demonstrate. Get away from the mic.
No, but I get it.
Go.
Yeah, because if it was straight down, I'm like, how are you anchoring yourself?
So hard. Yeah. Well, you had your legs locked in like a lat pull down machine.
Okay.
You did have that, which I'm very good at arm over arm. Like I did that ship pull with Ilya. You know, and I was able to do that just willy-nilly. And that's because I can squat all the way into the base where your feet are placed and use my legs and then pull. Mm-hmm. So I can get a full body pull where most big guys just lean forward.
Sure.
The hoist pull took my legs completely out of it. And this big 6'5" guy was just grabbing 2 feet farther than I can reach. And boy, he smoked me on it. And I thought, because of the events in day 2, which were the sandbag toss and the max silver dollar deadlift, that I needed 3 event wins on day 1 to be able to beat him, because we were so neck and neck. He was right behind me on everything, you know? And then when I beat him in the sandbag toss, that's when I knew I won. Okay. Because there's I knew all I needed was second place in the deadlift, which I was going to get. Mm-hmm. You know, I'd never done a silver dollar before, but from what I'd seen, it was going to go okay. And I ended up pulling 905, so it was good.
What did you guys do after the event in Vegas, since you just won hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm rich now. No, I got a pat on the back and a Nationals invite. Yeah. It was, we stayed at the Westgate Resort, so I like blackjack. I played some blackjack. You know, I'd never seen a sports betting room before. Have you seen those?
Mm-mm.
They are enormous. They're huge. They have 50 TVs, some monstrous like movie theater size screens, permanent betting fixtures where people will reserve, and they'll sit there all day betting on the horses and the dogs and anything that you can possibly gamble on. And they've got, I saw this old man with just mountains of books, and he's got this pencil and he's just circling things. And he's staring at this TV, and I'm like, I don't even want to try to get into this. This is because I do some like DraftKings sport betting on my phone for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
One or two here or there. And but that sports betting room was huge, crazy. They have a monstrous bar. Those casinos, they know what they're doing. They are designed to keep you right there and lose your money.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. And so we did that a little bit, and then we walked the strip. And honestly, like that. We did the John Wick experience. That was something that was a good idea that maybe wasn't.
What's that?
Wasn't well executed.
I know what John Wick is.
Yeah, that you
shot in the head.
Yeah, yeah. You get to murder someone's dog and run away. Yeah, no. It's like this big building, and you go in and you're like experiencing like the hotel they stayed in, and so you end up getting put on the board, and now you're on the run from that whole, I can't remember the name of the group that's trying to kill John Wick, but you're on the run from them, and you go through and you do different things. Like they have like an escape room. There's a card dealer that does a magic trick, a bunch of like in-house actors doing stuff, and then you end with like some screen shooting a laser gun and everything like that. It was a fun little adventurous thing. I think they have a great idea, and they just need some tweaks if they can get the funding or something like that.
Well, what's impressing me is that you competed and then you still did all this stuff afterwards, which means that your cardio and your conditioning from the wrestling,
I'm a whole new man,
was way better
yes.
than if you had done that when you were full in with Strongman.
To put my cardio into perspective, on the keg run, so the way that I have to carry kegs so that I don't have to relap them to put them over the bar is I actually carry them up here on my chest. So I get them in my lap, I get my arms positioned, I stand up, and I can't see. I just have to remember where the bar is. And I'm running, boom, first keg, second keg, running. Third keg, we didn't really get time to warm up on this because we started late, like every strongman show does, right? So some event, you're not going to get the warm up. This was one I didn't get the warm up, so my biceps are screaming on these kegs. I'm afraid of tearing. Mm-hmm. So third keg, as soon as I got it up to my chest, 350 pounds, I'm exhaling, and I felt the keg roll. So I went, nope, and I carried it, I think it was 30 feet in one breath. And it was, the fact that I could do that, I was like, yeah, cardio's getting way better. Yeah. Because I was purple in the face, and like carrying 350 pounds and moving faster than the other guy, because he was right behind me, that was the hardest thing. Vision was gone by the time I put the bar over.
So before you did that, because you said no training for it, but the training is, the ring and the wrestling and all the other stuff. Yeah. Did you have any event days that you put in before that, or you just said, hey, fuck it, we're doing it?
I had one, and it was a rest day, so it wasn't an event day. It was kind of just, I didn't bring in equipment. I just kind of went in and said, how do I grab a keg again? Boom, boom. Okay, I got it. Okay, how do I toss a sandbag again? Boom, boom. All right, I got it. And I'm going to go back to this commercial gym, and I'm going to train the muscles that need to grow for that to happen. Because, at this point, I'm a few years into strongman now. I won the world strength games, so I'm a world champion strongman. I should know what I'm doing on events, that I don't have to do event-specific training as much. I think the only time that you really have to worry about that is, I think once you get like even Giants live level, like when everyone's winning events by 0.2 seconds, mm-hmm. That's probably where I would do a little more specific training, get my foot speed up. But even then, I have foot speed drills that I do, and it will translate, so I don't do very much event specific training at all anymore.
So do you see yourself jumping in other events moving forward?
Well,
if your contract allows.
I got the invite to nationals. I don't have a contract, right? So,
well, you might.
I have the tryout in January. The goal is to be signed. The goal is to have the contract. If I have the contract, no, I'm done. I'm all in. I'm all in on them. I already have some titles to give them to use to promote me and everything. I don't feel that I need to prove anything else. But if I don't get signed, I just became the super heavyweight champion, America's Strongest Veteran. It got me a nationals bid. And based on my performance there, I kind of compared it to the pro guys that were there for America's Strongest Man. And while I wasn't top 5, I was top 10, so it's kind of like, well, I can put one more try into that open super heavyweight nationals and get an invite to the Arnold or something.
Do you see that as now is just adding to the resume, or the passion for the strongman?
Oh, the passion for strongman will never be gone.
Okay.
Ever. I will find a way to stay involved, whether it be as a competitor. Like, let's say all my dreams come true. Let's say WWE signs me. Let's say I grow there. I'm their number 1 guy. Man, I'm on TV every week. This is amazing. I have so much money. I'm probably going to use that money to host a contest, or I'm probably going to use that money to, or maybe ask like, hey, can I show up at OSG and like maybe guest judge or something? And, I would like to stay involved with the sport just because I just love it so much. Yeah.
What attributes do you think the sport could give people who are on the fence about it? That what part about it do you love, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
I did like the camaraderie at every level of the sport that I was in. There were times that I have cheered for competitors. There were times that competitors have cheered me. There were times where I've been beaten and we hugged after. I've beaten them and we've hugged after. Everyone knows, hey, when we're out on that floor, I'm trying to kill you. Like, I'm trying to beat you. But when we're off the floor, hey, we're just human beings trying to win a show right now. No big deal. We can be friendly, So I like that it wasn't very cutthroat, because I think people that have to be on like that 24/7 are kind of mentally weak. Like, you don't know how to turn it off. It's because you can't. And so that's a weakness to me. So I enjoyed that in Strongman, that I didn't meet a lot of people that were like that. And then the confidence boosting. I mean, it is fun. The crowds do cheer. The competition is fun. You're throwing things. I've pulled a fire truck. There was an opportunity to pull a plane and I couldn't make it, but that was there. I wanted to do that really bad. The fact that you get to do, or the arm over arm with Ilya, right? I do that. I kind of just like got lucky and showed up because I was talking to a wrestling promotion there, and I can't remember where this was now, but I was talking to a wrestling promotion there, and the promoter was like, hey, there were some strongmen in town yesterday, and I heard they're going to be doing some stuff today too around this downtown area. Are you a part of that? And I was like, no, but I'm going to go check it out, so I went down there and check it out, and there's,
you're traveling when that was Sandusky, Ohio, by the way.
That's what it was, Sandusky.
You're traveling when you can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know it was Ohio. Yeah. And then there's John, Hannah, and Ilya, and I'm like, oh wow, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're pulling a ship. I was like, can I pull this shit?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. And so that I made a whole video about that on my Instagram, me pulling the shit, part of my gimmick. Cause I'm taking the gentleman aspect, of my character. Like I'm a former barbarian that is like reformed into just a nice guy that travels the nation doing good deeds, essentially. And
you're a heel.
They're all huge. Oh, in some places I'm whatever the promoter wants me to be.
Yeah.
And when I put my national brand out, I would prefer it be a face.
Okay.
Because I do a lot of big moves, because that's really all I've got. I'm not going to be doing flips and anything crazy off the top rope at my size. So when you're a heel, you have to dial yourself back. There are times that you get to shine and look like the better guy, but my main job is to make that baby face look good. Mm-hmm. So I can't hit him with some big booms and then him just get up and go superhero mode, right? Because then that makes me look weak, and it exposes the business.
All right. So with the Gentleman Barbarian character, how do you come up with that? And what is it?
It's the concept of who I am as a person. I talked about how I was into drugs and alcohol, and I was a bum, high school dropout, just a bum of a human being. That's the barbarian concept. The guy that didn't have discipline and self-control and gave in to urges, and the barbarian, just everything was that. And And then the gentleman aspect is who I am today, you know, a father and a husband and all around what I'd like to say is a good man. And so the concept is a twist on who I am as a person in that aspect and the way I've grown in life is that, you know, and that's why I want this character to be a face, because I want this character to be an example for like kids and things to see as to like, hey, their redemption exists. You can escape your past if you work hard enough. And when you do have a lot of strength, it doesn't, you know, I could be using my strength for I could be hurting people. You know what I mean? I could be doing things wrong if I wanted to. I don't. And why, you know, it's not the right thing to do. And so the Gentleman Barbarian is that exact concept. And that's why I'm doing those feats of strength videos that I'm doing, is to show, and on at the end of the video, it says a gentleman always helps when he can. So like the ship video, I use my son, my oldest son. He's like, oh, our ship got stuck right outside of the dock. We can't get it in. Do you have a truck? And I'm like, well, I don't have a truck. Do you have a rope? So, yeah, you got a rope. He's like, I got something. And then it flashes to me pulling the ship in from the water. I've got another one where I'm deadlifting a Volkswagen in a junkyard, lifting it up so a kid can get a teddy bear out from underneath it, like, you know, to help them. So I'm trying to show that, hey, I'm using my strength for good and turning it into like almost a superhero-esque type thing.
With the wrestling, to this point, what's been the most memorable moment?
How I got the tryout was I was doing extra work on WWE SmackDown and the Friday night SmackDown before SummerSlam, and we had a security spot where all the tag teams were going to be out fighting around the ring, and we had to go and try and separate them and break them up. And then Nick Aldis, the general manager, was going to come out there and be like, you guys want to fight like this? You want to do all that? You're doing a tables, ladders, and chairs match at SummerSlam for the titles. Like it, so they're going to be up there, and whoever can get to them gets them. And so all the wrestlers start brawling, and I wasn't really aware that they were going to be doing that. So like I've got this wrestler, Andrade, I've got him like picked up on my shoulder and I'm carrying him. I'm like, oh, you're not really supposed to do that. It's like, oh God, I need to put him down, and like put him down, and we're trying to separate all these guys. And I mean, it felt almost like it was real security work. That's how good they were doing that. I was kind of like, I got to separate these guys, you know? And I get this guy, Tommaso Ciampa, pinned against the ring. And I'm like, hey man, you need to stop. You need to knock it off. He gives me the Iggy to let him go. And I was like, okay, I let him go. And he climbs up to the top rope, and I'm the only one looking at him, and he's not aware that I'm the only one looking at him. And so he's looking around, looking for other wrestlers to jump onto, because you're putting your life at risk jumping off the top rope. You want to go to someone you know and trust. They're all being pinned down by other security people, and I'm right there, and we lock eyes, and he jumps, and I caught him, kept him safe. I had some guys came up last second and behind me, and like they came down with me, so it was really good. It was really safe.
He knew that you had wrestling experience.
Yeah, you're not there doing security. Yeah, you are not there doing security. But at the same time, he doesn't know how much.
Sure.
And so that's why I think, you know, we go to the back, we go to Gorilla, and he introduces me to Triple H. And it's like, you know, Triple H is sitting there telling him, like, thank God you did that off the top rope spot. We really needed that. And he's like, yeah, that was cool. Have you seen this guy? Triple H kind of no-sells me a little bit, kind of like, you know, I'm just, I'm a background actor, you know. So I was like, okay, I probably don't need to be in here. This has been nice. Thank you for introducing me. I'm going to leave. And so I walk out. He chases me down and is like, why aren't you wrestling here? What's your story? You know, he said he just liked that I had like he knew, because I could tell that he was going to jump, and he locked eyes, and then we kind of spoke to say that's like universal language when you can't actually talk. Said I had good instincts, and it was just very complimentary, very flattering. Gives me his phone number, takes my information down, gives it to everybody he can. That gets my coach, Seth Rollins, involved. I don't know if you know who Seth Rollins is. Do you know who Seth Rollins? Yeah, so he's like a top guy. Before his shoulder injury just recently, he was a heavyweight champion. He's been a top guy there for like 20 years, you know, and I went to his school. He's the guy who taught me with Marek Brave and Matt Mayday, like I was saying. And so he throws his hat in the ring like, hey, if you impressed him, he's a really good guy to impress. Like, let me help you out here too. And so it's just a lot of positive things came from that one day, to the point, like, so I train in Chicago right now. So Tuesday night I drive into Davenport, and I train with a wrestler at like midnight, 1 a.m. We train for a couple hours. I sleep in my car, or I sleep wherever I can, because sometimes guys will be awake and they'll let me in their apartment. And then I drive to Chicago and I train with Mustafa Ali, and he wrestles for TNA, but he used to be in WWE. And it's the Chicago Wrestling Center there. And he's a big reason why my cardio is the way it is now. I told him, hey, I've got this tryout potentially, because at the time that I talked to him, it wasn't a sure thing. I was like, I don't know, like, I know that my cardio is not good enough. What can we do? He's like, come up here. And this guy's standard is through the roof. And his students are fantastic. I think that if he keeps the school going, which it looks like he's going to be doing, he's going to change the Chicago wrestling scene there at the Chicago Wrestling Center. And he took me in, no questions asked, no demands other than meet the standard. And he has helped me improve exponentially. And I guess that would lead me into the next thing about that's memorable in wrestling is the community. And when people see that you, A, have potential, and B, are willing to work, not just rely on your God-given talent to just, kind of saunter through, that you're going to grind and you're going to put the time in. When they see that you do that, they're going to put it back into you as well. And I mean, everyone has kind of taken me in, except for in the beginning there, where there was a lot of back talk and everything behind my back. Everyone's kind of taken me in like with open arms and like, hey, this guy gets it. This guy works hard. He's trying to make pro wrestling better. He's trying to be a good product. Let's help him get there.
Well, it seems like the same thing that got you your first match is what got you that tryout.
Exactly.
It's just
time and place. Time and place. That's exactly what because I'd have been the first person to multiple people telling people, I did WWE extra work because it pays well. That's why I did it. It's nice to see how the machine works. It's really cool to be like watching. You get to sit by the ring and watch the best in the world plan and call things and see how they think, see how they talk. It humanizes them. It makes it more real for me. Makes it look like it's a more realistic goal to obtain. Excuse me. And you get free food, the catering. So like you get to eat the whole time, no one tells you to stop or like asks you to leave. Like, so, and it's good food, so like you're in a place where is the goal to be, and you get to watch something that you love develop behind the scenes. You get to eat a lot, which is great for somebody like me and for free. And you're getting paid to be there even if they don't use you. So when I quit my day job, I was like, this is a great way to make money. And so I'm willing to travel to get to it. So there'll be times on my 4 days on the road, one of those days would be doing WWE extra work, sometimes 2 times. If I would do SmackDown and then Raw on Monday, I'd fill in my weekend with that. And you do all those things. And for me, it is just such a great experience. You get to know all the workers. You become one of the boys. It's fun. It's nice. Now, you don't do that with the talent, of course. You're to be seen, not heard in those situations. But producers will talk to you, and the stagehands will talk to you, and the truck guys and catering. And it's just a nice environment to be in. You see how healthy it is back there from that vantage point. And I'd have been the first one to tell you that you don't go there to be seen, because nobody cares that you exist. Like, you're just there to do you're a background actor. You're just there to do your job. And now I'll never say that again, because I did my background actor job and it got me seen. So now I tell everybody, do as much extra work as you possibly can, because you never know when the opportunity is going to pop up.
So with this tryout, while you don't know what it really is, you kind of do.
Yeah, I have a bit of a skeleton.
How many people do they bring in at one point? And then how many will they take through?
I guess
taking through would be a shitty answer, because it's going to depend upon the talent that's showing.
I have no idea. Yeah. But so indie wrestlers like me, maybe there'll be 10, but like collegiate athletes, there's probably gonna be like 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, how many independent wrestlers talent they take through? It's not many, almost ever that I've seen, personally, in America, because they just had a SummerSlam tryout last year. And I don't believe, from what I can tell, unless there's somebody in the shadows they just haven't debuted yet, that they actually took anybody for television. They took some people for what is called the WWE ID program. They took like 4 guys for that, which is you're still wrestling on the independents, but WWE is giving you money to do it, to grow yourself and potentially bring you in. But they didn't bring anybody on for like NXT and to go down to Orlando at the Performance Center. But the athletes, that's who they bring in for that.
Now with the WWE, I don't know a whole hell of a lot about it, but it seems like with the streaming and everything else, that live event, like everything's now streamed. Are there still just the straight up live events where it's not being filmed, it's not going to be published?
I think they do that sometimes, but like 2 years ago when they were still doing live events like 3 days a week, no, they're not doing that. Like,
okay.
There are some guys that only wrestle once a week now for WWE, where you hear about those old schedules where they were on the road for 220 plus days, wrestling almost all of them. I don't think they do that anymore.
Well, I think it would make it harder to get in, right? Because if you have these days, which I don't want to say they're behind the scenes because they're still events, but they're not the bigger events that are going to be seen, where you can kind of like fuck around with other people, you know, and not have it. If it goes bad, whatever. It goes bad in one city for one crowd. Sure. And not streamed across to everybody that's watching it. Yeah. So does that make it harder to get in?
It is for WWE, in my opinion, again, all opinion based, because I wasn't here. You know, Seth Rollins was somebody that got in right as they were developing the NXT, the Performance Center down in Orlando. It was FCW at the time. And so before that, it was kind of like you were in a farm group at like OVW, FCW, something like that. You were trained up, and then they called you up from there and said, all right, let's get this guy on TV and start getting him the real reps. Now, it seems very difficult to get in because WWE is more athlete focused outside of the independent wrestling scene. And I feel that it's difficult to get in because there are less shows, that making less spots. And it's just one of those things where it's like that's why I say, like, I heavy emphasis on I'm very confident going into this tryout. I have what I can control. I have improved everything as good as I possibly can in the time that I've been allowed. And I'm still going to be doing more in the next 5 weeks, I think, before it happens. And it still may not be enough because they may look at me and go, we don't need a guy like that.
Now, can you have multiple tryouts, or if you don't make it the one time, you're just shot?
At my age, you know what I mean? At 36, it's already kind of a long shot. And, so, like I said, I've already got an uphill battle. And again, I'm still very confident. I still think that I bring a quality product that they're going to want, because they don't have someone like me. I haven't seen anyone that has someone like me. And they have big guys, but they're 6'4". But they don't have because when you're 5'8", 285 pounds, you have David and Goliath in one body. I can be a strongest guy in the ring that's still an underdog. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things you can do with someone that's built like me. And I think there's opportunity there that if I get an opportunity to pitch it to them, I think they'll see what I'm trying to tell them. But at the same time, I'm 36 and I'm short, and it's going to be a really uphill battle. So one shot with WWE is probably all I'm going to get in a tryout way. There are other ways to get there. Maybe AEW likes me and I go there and I wrestle for them for a contract. We have a falling out and WWE decides, hey, we were wrong. Let's bring you over now that you've been over there. Or, TNA is always an option. And then WWE watches TNA. Maybe they see me at TNA and they want to bring me in. But at the same time, it's not the goal here. Of course, my dream is to main event WrestleMania, be the biggest wrestling name, but the goal here, I have mouths to feed. I have a wife, I have a family to take care of. The goal here is to make a full-time living on wrestling, and I'm almost doing that now. So I just need to continue on the track that I'm going, and I think we'll be all right.
How long can you maintain that?
With my wrestling style, I am very positive I can go till I'm 50, 52. Okay. Again, at my size, as long as I can maintain the size and the things that I do, I protect my opponent very well. Like I said, I throw people, but I do it in a very safe way, and I do it in a very unorthodox way. It does not completely rely on my strength. I just make it look like it does. And then at my size, I'm not falling down very much. You know what I mean? So I could be in an 8-minute match, and if you're 200 pounds, I will bump for you once at the end if you're beating me. It's one of those things. So I'm not taking a lot of hits. Okay. And and what I do offensively isn't putting a ton of stress on my body. But of course, things go wrong, and there could be some high-flying action. Right now, I'm confident because I've caught a 270-pound guy midair and been fine, but maybe I'm not doing that when I'm 50,
Yeah. Were there any topics you wanted to go over I didn't bring up?
Oh, no, this has been pretty thorough and extensive. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you ask it, I'll talk about it. I can't ever think of things myself.
With the wrestling, because the wife was supportive with the strongman, I'm sure she's supportive with the wrestling. But to what end? I mean, when you're gone 5 days every single week, is that become an issue?
No, because she's all in on it too. She's all in on the goal too. Like, so let's say I go to the tryout, they love me, I'm signed. I have to move to Orlando by myself. She's going to be in small town Indiana with all the kids, all the responsibility, while I'm down in Orlando, Florida, trying to make this career happen and stick and guarantee it and get a bigger salary to where we can all live together. So she's aware of all of this. I never even asked to be a pro wrestler without her permission and explained all this to. This was before I even knew like about in-ring stuff. My goal was always what's happening right now. So I manifested it. I'm trying to make it happen. And I sat down with her and the kids and was like, you guys need to be aware that if I do this, this is what this means. If you thought I was gone a lot training for Strongman, I'm about to be gone a lot more. I was home every night with that one. I'm not going to be home every night with this one.
How old is your youngest, or how young is your youngest?
My youngest is 2.
So you got 2 to 17.
Yeah.
Right. So what are they? The 2-year-old obviously has no clue.
No. I mean, he's become aware. Like it was actually kind of sad. It was a couple of weeks ago when, it was more of a surprise to see me in the morning for him. He was surprised that I was there. And so that kind of hit home for me. It was like, oh yeah, he's used to me not being around. And he's excited that I am around because this is not something he's used to, so
they all go to school and brag that their dad's a wrestler.
I don't know if they brag. I do ask them not to do that. Like I hope I didn't come across egotistical here. I say on every podcast, I'm not egotistical. I'm ego driven, of course. But I try to remain as humble as possible because I know that it takes an army to do the things that I'm doing. It's not just me. This is not happening to me because I'm special. This is not happening to me because I'm God's gift to wrestling. Everything that's happened to me is because I and many, many others have worked very, very hard to make it happen. So I do tell the kids, please don't brag about me. If you guys, you want to say, hey, my dad became America's strongest veteran this year or something, that's fine. Or, hey, my dad's a pro wrestler, check out this move. You can do something like that, but don't gloat. Don't make me look like I'm bigger than I am, because my 7-year-old is very much in that phase where I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof to him. And I have to routinely be like, hey, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who works hard. That's all this takes.
So with your kids, because if we go back to when you were growing up, right? How are you, I don't want to say how are you avoiding them growing up thinking the same ways about themselves that you did?
I'm, even when I'm not home, I'm FaceTime, phone calls. My oldest son has a message. We text, he's got a phone. A big issue with my upbringing was my mother was very professionally driven and my parents were divorced. And so I've got my stepfather who was just himself, but himself was not very super involved. He wasn't a bad dad by any means. My mother wasn't a bad mother by any means. They just weren't very there. My mother, again, very professionally driven. She wasn't home. She was focused on her career, trying to become more. We were latchkey kids. Literally in the 4th grade, I just stopped doing homework. Send a note home, I'd throw it away. No one's going to check. My parents aren't home to check anything. They were home just in time to make dinner and go to bed, So there wasn't a lot of guidance and mentorship. I would visit my father in the summer, and there was a little bit of guidance and mentorship, but I'd say it was a bit of an extreme the other way. He was like a junior preacher of the Nazarene Church in the Air Force. It was very rigid, very polar opposite of my mother's house. And so I didn't take to it very well because it was just it's like I was raised by 2 different extremes.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I've found a nice blend of the middle, to where, like I said, competitors that can't turn it off, I see it as a weakness. I give my children that rigidity, that discipline, when it's time to work and it's time to achieve. And then when that's off, I can be fun. We can wrestle on the ground. We can do snowballs. We can play. We can do all the things and give that more nurturing aspect and be a mentor. Like, so that's something that's been big for my 17-year-old is that I'm a very, very disciplined father. My wife, very disciplined mother. We're very structured. We have sports. We have schedules. We have everything that we do. We are very black and white in the morality code on how things should be and how you should act. You know, I've got a 17-year-old that's never even tried nicotine. I know that to some people that's like, well, of course my kids haven't either. That's great. The world I come from, that's a huge deal. He hasn't even tried a vape. You know what I mean? Like, and he's a good kid to the point that I'm upset that he stacked hay wrong. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that makes me upset is that maybe the quality of work he's doing isn't as high as I would like it to be. That's a huge deal to me because just to get me to work was a big deal. You know, like just to get me to not be a bum was huge. Back then, the standard was so low that the big switch I've had to make with him is like going from disciplinarian to coach. Does that make sense? Going from a punisher to a mentor.
Yeah.
Where I'm no longer, when you make a mistake, life is going to give you your consequences now, son. I'm just going to try and guide you through them. You know, he's old enough and mature enough that I've had to, you know, adjust that. We're also you know, he didn't get video games until he was 16. He didn't have a phone until he was 16, 17. It's going to be the same thing for my other kids. There's no video games. There's none of that. Just TV on, cartoons all the time or anything like that. It's like you can listen to music, but you're going to play with your toys. You're going to go outside and you're going to run around. And that's not because I think video games are bad. I don't. I played them. You know, I played them my whole life. The problem is that I let them consume me when I was a kid. And it's really, really easy to let that happen where all you do is sit in a chair and zombie out because this is all you want to do. I became an adult and I didn't know how to change the oil in my car. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to change a tire. I got my first house with my son when I was in the Marine Corps, and I forgot to buy toilet paper. I didn't realize that you needed toilet paper, and I was out of money. And I had to go to the gas station and take some of their toilet paper because I just wasn't mature enough. I didn't learn because why? Because all I did was party, or I was a hermit in my room playing video games. And so I'm not trying to tell them, like my son has video games now. Now he's playing video games all the time. But I tell them, you just trust me. We're going to wait until you realize that you still need to be able to work and balance that. And so he's someone that taught himself how to play piano. He's in trumpet. He's in wrestling. He's in theater. He had a girlfriend, and you know how that goes. And, you know, he's learning to drive. He's doing all these things. Oh, and he plays video games and has like a Dungeons and Dragons club with his friends. And like, so he's very, very active and can balance. That's something I was not capable of. So I have a very strict outlook of how I think my children should be raised. And I'm very, very much involved in that, whether I'm home or not.
How can people go about finding you?
Any social media, you know, that's X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's going to be under Bruss Hamilton or Bruss Hamilton.
Which one are you most active on?
Instagram would be the most. Oh, TikTok too. I do that. If I make my videos on TikTok, post it, and then I take them to Instagram. Facebook is more of like, here's the matches I'm going to be at. I kind of just post it. But that generation with social media interaction is very low.
But if somebody's trying to find you, it's probably going to be through Instagram. Instagram would be the best.
Most likely, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming out.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. It's a dream come true, man.
Any final thoughts you got? Put you on the spot.
One quote that I like to give, and if I can do it to your audience and everyone, is that the greatest lie ever told is that it's not that simple.
Yeah,
that's it.
What movie did that? That was in some.
I can't remember, but I live by that.
Oh God, what was that? It was a fighting movie, man. It was Bleed for This. The movie was called Bleed for This.
I don't even think I've seen it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, now I'm going to
watch this, man. I wish I could remember the fighter's name, and people who are fans are going to blast me for this, but he ends up breaking his neck. Oh, right. And being in a halo. Right?
Yeah.
And then coming back, you know, and maybe it was boxing, coming back and getting the title. And he was asked at the very end by a reporter.
Oh, really?
And that's basically what was the.
Well, now I feel cheesy.
Yeah, I know. No, man, but it hit hard.
Yeah, that's a line I live by.
It because it was like, wow, man, Wow.
Well, like I was saying, you know, basically living in my car for half a week, there are many people that aren't willing to do that. And I just decided I want this. So this is what it takes.
Yeah. And it is.
It's that simple.
It is. It's profound though, because when you dig down into it, it's.
Do you want it or not?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you for coming out, and we're done. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you.
All content you see on this channel and at elitefts.com is created by, take a guess, Elite FTS. If you want to help support the content, head over to elitefts.com and pick up literally anything that you need to be able to get more jacked and strong.